Panther people, what up? The magnetism of Bryce already working. What's going on? Watch your Panthers post. This is an emergency episode. Thank you to X for hooking us up with rumors that is going to keep us entertained for the next 7 months until the Carolina Panthers play meaningful football next September, or this September. It's 2025 now, but things have hit the fan. Literally. Our boy, friend of the show, Mr. Bland, make sure you follow him at JustBlande, just tweeted out for content purposes, just like a 7-minute long highlight tape of Bryce Young doing Bryce Young things over the first 2 years of his professional career. Not just this year, where he really came into his own in the second half of the season, but also last year as well, which was absolutely disastrous, with the caption, "He might be better than we thought." Already has 407,000 insights right now, interactions, mainly showing Bryce running around doing his thing. We got some passes as well. It's mainly running. Okay, it's Bryce running. Bryce doing his best Cam Newton impression in miniature size. And that got a lot of engagement. Not just from fans, because obviously as Carolina Panthers fans, we're not really cheering for them in the wild card weekend, nothing like that. So we're just watching. It's us. But it's not just us. It's other people who are just sitting at home doing nothing, including NFL players. Maybe it's one that's pretty damn good. Mr. Garrett Wilson. You might know him as the wide receiver for the New York Jets, the one that kind of got seemingly sidelined when Aaron Rodgers brought his buddy Devontae Adams over to the Big Apple for that experiment, which ultimately failed. Garrett Wilson now facing a future in the Big Apple where they have really no QB prospects. Aaron Rodgers seemingly at this point not looking like he's coming back. Who else is out there? Who is out there? The Jets are not in the draft position to get someone like a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. It's just not in the cards for them right now when it comes to rookie quarterbacks. Maybe if Drew Allard from Penn State declares some of these quarterbacks move down or they trade up to get these quarterbacks, if they believe in them, if Deion even lets his son play for the New York Jets, and then some of the free agents out there. Who's that? Justin Fields? Is Justin Fields a savior potentially? I know he's people are a fan of him in the locker room. Kirk Cousins are going to kick the can at Kirk Cousins? No. So right now, Garrett Wilson is without a marquee quarterback at the position. So he responds to Bland's, his tweet simply, like he just saw this on his feed, on X, just like the rest of us, because he's scrolling just like the rest of us. He doesn't got to worry about any offensive install. He just replies, he is. Bland then responds, say less, with Dave Canales with a cig, because I'm going to need a cigarette after this. And of course, like everyone's taking notice of this. Mike K from Charlotte Observer says that Carolina Panther fans are taking a recent Twitter activity reasonably, I don't want to misquote Mike K. Where is Mike K? What does he say? Mike_E_K. He says, seems like Panthers fans are handling this reply about as calmly as you'd expect. Yeah, I'm at home. I'm supposed to go to work. I'm up here making a video right now. He then goes on to say, in response to someone saying, send the Jets a second, Garrett Wilson isn't even 25 yet and has 2 years of club control coming off of 1,110-yard, 7-touchdown season. No reason to trade him, whether he has interest or not. And if the new Jets GM takes less than a top 10 pick and then some in any hypothetical trade, that person should be fired before they even get to the draft. Okay, so Mike K dousing the enthusiasm right now, saying that basically this is a 25-year-old, 2-year controlled, over 1,000-yard receiver, 7-touchdown cat. Sure, they got no quarterback right now, but if they're not taking anything less, if they take anything less than a top 10 pick, and then anything else, a hypothetical trade, they're not a good GM. Well, guess what? Those bad GMs exist. They exist, and this could happen. And last time I checked, Dan Morgan could beat almost every GM up in the National Football League. So people are throwing out hypothetical trades out there. Someone almost threw up. I'm so excited. So let's see, just, for shits and giggles, what a trade for one Garrett Wilson would even look like. Either way, people are talking about it. That's all it is. And there are players out there who have skill, who have value, that are now looking at the Carolina Panthers, particularly Bryce Young, and how he's been playing as suddenly, after less than a year of being called the most toxic, most dysfunctional franchise in the National Football League, suddenly this is a place that players are even just thinking about maybe wanting to go to that team. Obviously, he can't because he's controlled by the Jets, and they'd have to trade him, and then have to ask for a king's ransom. Would it be our first overall pick and a second? Would it be that'd be it really? I think it would start with pick number 8. If that is what it would take, if you had, let me know in the comments below, if Mason Graham and Abdul Carter and Will Johnson were gone by pick 8, and it's either between Tet McMillan, the wide receiver, the big wide receiver out of Arizona, or you send that pick to the Jets for Garrett Wilson, would you take it? And then they might require our second round pick. I threw it out on the Twitter machine that what if they trade down from 8 to somewhere else, assuming I didn't read that Mike K tweet just now, trade down to like the 15th pick, grab another second, send them that 15th overall pick and a second round pick, send that to Garrett Wilson. Because once you get to 15, you're not getting a Tet McMillan, you're already not getting a blue chip player, and then there's reasonably good depth in the second round for an edge, and then in the second round you get like a Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina, you get the defensive end out of Boston College, you get one of those guys, and mind you, this is also a time when free agency has already surpassed. Hopefully they build up on that as well. So could that work? You get like a kind of mid-round first round pick and a second round for Garrett Wilson. Would you take that? Or if you stick and pick, or stick and trade in this case, you send them the 8 instead of getting a Tet McMillan, because in this scenario, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, Will Johnson, they're all gone. It'd be funny because the Jets are picking right before the Panthers, so maybe they get Abdul Carter, and then who knows who they get after that. Maybe they get a Tet McMillan to replace Garrett Wilson. I'm just throwing things out there. So you do that. You send them 8 and the second. So now you got Garrett Wilson, no second round pick, but we have 3 fifth round picks. So maybe you couple that with something else and move up back into the second somehow and try to get an edge, assuming, again, you don't pick up one that is of value in free agency. You pick up your edge, you pick up your defensive tackle, do whatever you got to do. So there's that situation. And since we're here, since we're now in a reality where the Carolina Panthers are no longer a toxic franchise, mind you, we're not the Houston Texans after their first year with CJ Stroud, where they're like the sexiest team in the NFL. It's still a team where at least there's a quarterback, and anybody out there who wants to have a competitive season, that's a place they could look at. And speaking of a guy named Garrett Wilson, how about a guy when you flip that name? Myles Garrett. He's already said he's not one for a rebuild right now. Not saying the Panthers are going to be, championship contenders next year, but maybe he would want to change the scenery in terms of literally the climate, a warmer climate. He can come to a team that's got a defense that needs him. So he's there, and then bookend with, a rookie edge as well. So maybe they can trade something for Myles Garrett to bring him over. And Dan Morgan said in the end of your press conference, they're going to be aggressive and smart. It's aggressive to trade for someone like Myles Garrett, and it's also pretty smart. I think that would be something pretty cool, but obviously there are other teams out there who are currently playing postseason football that maybe he would want to get a little bit of a taste of that, a la a Baltimore, or Cincinnati needs to upend their defense, even though they're not in the playoffs. They would have been a lot of fun. There, Buffalo, the Chiefs, like all these places are all options for someone like Myles Garrett. But I think we got the cap space, we got the cap guru in Brant Tillis, and we got the climate. And I say we as a guy from Toronto, where it's minus 20 degrees Celsius right now. Look that up on Google. It's cold. Why not? Like if we are the maybe hot, lukewarm destination, people want to get out of their situation, who would you want to play for the Carolina Panthers in the offseason, whether it's via trade or free agency? Who is on your wish list? We'll talk about draft later, but this is just me overreacting to a simple tweet from a Garrett Wilson account, which has 175,000 followers. Is that even Garrett Wilson? I don't know. Really known famous. So this might not even be Garrett Wilson. Either way, this was fun. It's a fun idea. The fact that folks might want to play for the Panthers. Let me know in the comments below. What would you give up for Garrett Wilson? What would you give up for Myles Garrett? What would you give up for whoever you want on your wish list to this team? See you guys soon.